I've always loved to perform. I loved to perform when I was a kid, you know, but was told fairly early doors that because I was disabled, there was no point because you could never be an actor because you're disabled, you know. I think I was told that when I was about 12, you know. So my way around that was to be a musician instead, you know, because nobody cares about musicians the same, you know.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You know what I mean? They can be all sorts of shapes and sizes and whatever, and malfunctions. So I came into it kind of sideways, really, as a musician.
What was the first inspiration? Whether it was a piece of artwork, a practitioner, maybe it wasn't even any of them. Maybe you found a book or something.
Yeah.
Like if there was one thing.
Sure. No, I was thinking about that, and I can trace it back. I think to I was about 15, 16, and there was a guy you know, like people were put down a year sometimes if they were kind of bad or didn't complete the work. And I remember this guy being put down here, and I think it was because he'd been ill. He was called Alan. He was a little guy of small stature and specky and a bit geeky and a bit strange, really. And he introduced me to lots of things. He introduced me to jazz, which was really, you know, 15, 16, like fairly avant-garde jazz. He introduced me to movies.
Have you got a jazz composer?
Yeah, it was kind of two, John Coltrane and Dave Brubeck actually were the two kind of key ones that he introduced me to. He introduced me to films, like I'd seen films since I was a kid. I come from a film age group, you know, films were brilliant, you know, and but he introduced me to sort of more challenging films, if you like, and I remember in particular Clockwork Orange and If, and so Lindsay Anderson was a key director for me when I was 15, 16 years old, which is great, you know. So Alan brought this kind of musical thing, the film thing, and also he was big pals with a guy called Bobby, who was a kind of a folk singer. He used to sing around the pubs and sing political jazz stuff, and I fell in love with that as well. This notion of just sitting around with a guitar performing in pubs seemed to be a great idea. You could sing and drink, you know, this was really good. My life's never been the same since.
That's what I love doing is, you know, before History of Lives, I was just I did lots of folk. I'm into my folk because of the Boran.
It's okay, we've come out of our closets now.
Yeah, it's all right, we can
Acoustic
admit the
music
folk
is okay,
thing now.
we can admit it, yeah, that's right. We're all right now, Devendra Banhart smash it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. He brought weirdness to the forefront,
yeah,
which is great.
Yeah.
But, you know, I find that it's quite accepting.
I really found that, and Bobby was terrific, and he's a bit of a wide boy, you know, but great, and so I started performing and singing in pubs when I was like 15, 16, you know, which was terrific. So Alan was very pivotal to me, really. It was only because you asked me the question, you know, you suggested one of the questions you might ask that made me think about it, and Alan suddenly came to mind. I've not thought
Do you
about
remember
it
his
for
surname?
years. No. I mean, I can vaguely picture him, you know, but, you know, it was, yeah, but there you go.
I think that's nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
The third question is a three-parter. We all have moments in our lives that change the direction of our careers or of our lives, basically. You've got three pivotal moments in your life, Mr. Garry, sir. What were they?
Good God.
Either positive or negative, because negative have good
artistically or
moments.
Just generally?
Artistically or generally. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm being vague on purpose.
Okay. Dear me, it's a tricky one. I think artistically was having the confidence to say that I was an artist, really. I mean, that was quite important, and that I had a voice and that I had something to say.
Do you find that you still get a lot of people, especially friends, I find as well, that you'll be excited about something that you're doing and stuff, and they'll be looking at you like you were a div and you didn't, you know.
No, I don't really get that anymore. I mean, I think because I've been doing it for such a long time that it's what I do now. You know? So I think, I mean, because I ignore them anyway. You know, I just, you know, when I'm excited by an idea, I kind of just pitch it everywhere. I talk about it a lot because I find that a way to sort of tease out what I'm about anyway. So I tell people, no. So I mean, I think actually making some sort of mental decision, which kind of came from a good friend of mine, Billy, who I was in bands with. You know, I was in bands for years, and Billy was Glaswegian, a Donegal Glaswegian, lovely man. He's still, I know him still, we're good friends, and he would always talk about going to work, you know, with the band, and I kind of, yeah, that's great. It's a job, isn't it? You know, and it's great. And you start looking at it like that, then I found it's not a hobby, it's not a pastime, it's not something to fill up the hours. It's actually a job. It's what you do. It's your kind of raison d'etre in life, you know. And from that, it was a small leap to a definition of myself as an artist. So I think that was kind of important. Having kids, I found really important to me in my life. That changed my life considerably because you have to start thinking about other people.
What age did you have?
I would have been late 20s, I guess. So yeah, I wasn't young, you know, sort of late 20s when I had kids. That was really important. That was really pivotal. I think getting diabetes, because I was really living a really, really, really poor lifestyle. I mean, I was drinking myself stupid, and I was doing whatever drugs fell into my lap, and my diet wasn't very good. And I just really wasn't looking after myself at all, and I became diabetic. And
what age did you become diabetic?
Oh God, again, I don't know.
Are we talking before your children
Yeah, it was.
or after?
Well, no, it's like my kids. I had kids by then. I was not a good dad. You know, I was all over the place really with bands. You know, because I was working with bands, and I just was touring a lot, and I was drunk a lot. I've probably been diabetic now, getting on 20 years, I think. So it's about 20 years ago. Yeah.
Strange enough, do you think that saved you?
I do. I honestly think, you know, I'd have been pretty fucked up, really, because I was riding for a fall, you know, physically.
Yeah.
And as it happened, it was a fall that was dealable with. So I had to kind of, I had to start listening to my body, really. That's what you have to do as a diabetic, is kind of listen to your body. And that helped in all sorts of ways. I thought I was going mad, you know, I thought I was going really crazy. And it was a lot to do with just the way my body was, you know. So, yeah, that was really important.
And a nice conversation with you and your body to change instead of you and, well, you.
Yeah, me, you know. And I'm still a bit me, as I'm sure you know, people will tell you. But probably less so than I was then, you know.
Yeah.
I was a massive ball of ego, massive ball of drunken ego, which is not the most attractive thing in the world, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Did I mention Ian Jury?
No, you didn't, but I was actually going to mention him because...
I know it's the year of Jury last year, but he is really pivotal to me.
I was going to say, I think that as artists and musicians... we can't really skirt over him because I think he's really, really important from a poet's
he's a beautiful poet. I love him as a writer, you know. And I mean, I didn't know he was disabled when I first saw him. I went to see him because he was doing it those days where he kind of hid it. And I just thought he was a spindly drunk, you know, like me, so that was all right. I had no idea. And somebody told me he had polio. I said, what? Fucking hell, you know, same as me.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. And then, you know, watched him, I guess, with another eye, and then his writing, you know, once he came to terms with talking about his disability, discussing it, and being an advocate, I guess, of you know, in a way, I grew to love him even more, really, you know, tremendous. Spastic as autistic.
Spastic as autistic.
That's the best state ever.
Yeah,
still,
totally.
You know?
Totally.
It really is.
I wobble when I wiggle.
No, our middle is a riddle.
Middle is a riddle, indeed. I I think it's very
Got my
important.
orange shoes, my Osaka Tigers. There you go. Just I want to get those on film, just in case
Yeah,
they're
well,
not.
they're beautiful.
Thank you, darling.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Just thought I'd let
Marvellous.
people know
Great.
how lovely your shoes are.
Thank you very much.
But I think it's really, really important to have disabled role models. And I think Ian Jury's great because he, how can I put this? He had sort of an invisible impairment, but it wasn't an invisible impairment.
No, it really wasn't, I don't think. And I mean, role models is a funny old business, and I know what he's saying.
Yeah, I know.
But
I do.
he was
I
a bit
can.
of a bastard, really. He was a bit of a, a bit of a misogynist and whatever. So you got, I wouldn't say he was a role model. I just liked what he did. I liked his music. I liked the way he looked. I liked the fact he was a cripple and he was out there.
And the fact he was doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
and had his own style as well. If you listen to loads of the tracks, like My Old Man as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. The lyrics are so normal, and it could easily be a piece of prose.
Yes, that's great poetry. It's like a conversation.
Exactly. It's
There were every night, because I was in Reasons to be Cheerful, as you know, at Stratford East and Ipswich. And Stephen, the lovely young actor, who would sing that every night. There just wasn't a dry eye in the house. It's a great number. It's a great number.
I think he's very. I don't know. I from when I first found out he was a polio sufferer. I don't know.
Victim, we call victims, polio victims.
I don't want to call it. No, I got told. I got emailed by someone when I was first doing things.
I've been a victim. I'm a polio victim.
People told me I'm not allowed to be a stroke victim.
No.
I'm not allowed to be a stroke victim.
That's because we monopolised it. It's because polio's.
Oh, right, you're taking it back.
We are reclaiming victim, polio victim. Cool.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Good.
I think that is it.
Good.
Thank you very much for taking part in an artist treasure hunt.
Em, it's such a pleasure, and Em's really lovely working with you.
Thank
These
you.
last couple of days have been great. So thank you.